Everybody who frequently uses the internet has probably seen a pop-up or other warning concerning cookies. You can even choose to accept cookies fully or partially on some websites. Therefore, the topic of whether it is safe to enable cookies needs to be addressed. Actually, cookies have been around since the early days of the World Wide Web. They were developed in 1994 by an employee of Netscape Communications as a way to help enable shopping carts for online retailers. Since then, they have been employed extensively. But even now, the majority of internet users are still unaware of what they are or how using them can jeopardize privacy and information security. How do cookies function and what are they? Websites install little text files called cookies on your devices while you browse. The cookies themselves are quite innocuous. Your web browser processes and stores them, and they are essential to some features on websites, including the previously mentioned shopping carts. The use of cookies is quite easy to explain. Your browser sends a request to a website when you visit it, and the website responds with the requested data plus a cookie that is saved in your browser. To make you easily identifiable, your browser sends the cookie each time you make a new request to the same website. This can be used for things like tracking your actions, maintaining user authentication, and choosing a language on a multilingual website. Your browser may now be storing thousands of cookies. Cookies come in 3 fundamental varieties, each with a distinct function. Cookies for sessions. These are short-term cookies. As they are often stored in active memory, they ought to be only valid for one session and vanish when your browser is closed. The most popular kind of cookie is this one. They inform the server that within a given time frame, all of your requests originated from the same source and ought to be handled as a single session. Permanent cookies. This kind of cookie is used to keep track of you throughout several sessions and for a longer duration. Another name for it is a persistent cookie. Your hard drive has these cookies, which won't be erased on their own. The 2 primary purposes of permanent cookies are tracking and authentication. For instance, you use a permanent cookie for authentication each time you enable a website's Remember Me or Keep Me Login features. The tracking portion comes next. Most of the time, they are activated automatically, and you may not even be aware of it unless the website alerts you or offers the opportunity to disable cookies that aren't needed. Cookies from the first and third parties. The website you are on is the one that creates some cookies. The majority of session cookies, for instance, are first-party cookies. Third-party cookies, sometimes referred to as marketing or advertising cookies, are used to follow users and collect data across many websites. On the other hand, there are instances where cookies are produced by websites you are not even visiting. Third-party cookies are used to deliver a personalized experience as they collect an increasing amount of data. Generally speaking, this means that you will be seeing personalized advertisements based on data like past searches, actions, location, hobbies, and more. Therefore, what's the big deal if temporary cookies disappear on their own and persistent cookies are typically easy to examine and remove? To begin with, third-party cookies may pose a serious privacy danger, but it isn't the only issue. Numerous forms of fraud and cyberattacks rely on taking advantage of cookies' weaknesses, which can result in serious security issues. Cookie dangers. Since cookies are merely text files without any kind of executable, it's not like you can receive a virus from them. However, cookies can constitute a significant security risk based on their use and exposure. Cookies, for example, can be taken over. Since most websites employ cookies as the sole means of identifying user sessions, an attacker may be able to assume the identity of a user and obtain unwanted access if a cookie is compromised. This could occur in several ways. Cookie capture via unprotected channels. Authentication-related cookies should always be sent securely, however, this isn't always the case. Cookies without a security flag are one example. Setting the secure flag on a cookie tells the browser that it can only be accessed through secure SSL/TLS channels. A cookie may be sent in klartext if the secure flag is not set, such as when a user visits any HTTP URLs that fall within the cookie's scope. This would make it simple for an attacker listening in on network traffic to obtain the cookie and use it to obtain unauthorized access. Another technique that enables an attacker to take control of a legitimate user session is session fixation. This time, it takes advantage of a flaw in the web application's session ID management system. An attacker might send a user a URL with a particular session ID in its arguments. For instance, if an application permits a session token in the query parameters, the attacker can now take control of the session when the user authenticates using this URL. XSS or cross-site scripting. Cross-site scripting is another kind of cookie theft that takes advantage of websites that let users upload unfiltered HTML and JavaScript material. For instance, if a user clicks on a malicious link that an attacker has posted, JavaScript code may be executed, causing the victim's browser to transfer cookies to a website under the attacker's control. Forgery of cross-site requests CSRF. This kind of assault takes advantage of a website by forcing it to carry out unauthorized commands sent by a user the web application trusts. The goal of a cross-site request forgery CSRF attack is to utilize a defenseless victim to unintentionally send a maliciously constructed web request to a website to which the victim has privileged access. Any request from the victim's browser will be considered legitimate and carried out because he is already signed in. An attacker must first find a reproducible web request that performs a certain action, such as changing a password on the target page for a cross-site request forgery CSRF attack to be successful. After identifying such a request, a link that creates this malicious request can be made and placed on a page under the attacker's control. Worse, the victim might not even need to click the link. For example, it might be included in an HTML image tag that loads automatically when the victim opens an email that was sent to them. Throwing cookies, leaving a user a malicious cookie that has been made to appear as though it originated from the subdomain of the targeted website is the foundation of a cookie-tossing attack. Naturally, this becomes more troublesome when a website permits subdomains to be hosted under its domain by untrusted individuals. All cookies, valid and those that seem to be from subdomains, are transmitted when the user visits the target website. Because the attacker can only write data and not read it, their potential to take over a session is severely constrained. However, depending on what the main domain does with the cookie's content, cookie tossing can be used to establish arbitrary cookie settings that in some situations can be used for an excess injection or CSRF attack. Additionally, cookies could pose a serious privacy concern. From basic functions like counting ad impressions, views, and clicks to restricting pop-ups and maintaining ad sequence, marketing cookies' role in user tracking has grown over time. Today, they can be used for user profiling and website preference tracking. Large-scale third-party ad-serving networks like Google's AdSense/AdWords are used by the majority of the biggest websites. This has caused a great deal of controversy and worry among online consumer privacy groups, to the point where particular restrictions have been devised to prevent exploitation. Final reflections. So is turning on cookies safe? To put it succinctly, it can be. Although cookies provide several security and privacy problems, they can also be quite helpful and are necessary for the majority of modern websites. As a result, it is not practical to disable cookies. Ensuring the safe use of cookies should be the main priority. A developer can reduce vulnerabilities in several easy ways. For instance, using the HTTP-only flag when creating a cookie reduces the possibility that a client-side script will access the protected cookie. Similarly, by preventing the cookie from being delivered over an unencrypted HTTP request, the secure cookie flag removes the chance that the cookie could be viewed by unauthorized persons because it transmits the cookie in clear text. A user can also take some simple precautions to reduce the security concerns associated with cookies. Keeping your browser updated is crucial, for example. Additionally, you can easily remove or even block cookies in the majority of modern browsers. If you're not happy, you can use several browser extensions or plugins to control or even automatically remove cookies. Because it makes it simpler to block those annoying advertising cookies, this can also be used to address privacy-related issues. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Your support helps us keep creating more informative and exciting content for you. Thanks for watching.